In this video, I'm going to cover some R&B piano secrets for complete beginners and what makes R&B music set itself apart from other genres. And if you watch until the end, I will provide you with a nice surprise to get you started with actually playing R&B chords and songs. So what is it about R&B besides maybe the instruments and rhythms that make it different than, let's say, pop or jazz or neo soul or gospel, right? We're going to go over the difference as far as chords go. Now, if you're a complete beginner, this is going to be for you as well. And so you'll get some basic understanding of what chords are and how they are approached with, let's say, pop music versus R&B. So if you are a beginner, there are a few things that you do need to know. C is the white key to the left of the two black keys, and it goes D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the next C, and then just starts over again. So the piano is really just the same 7 keys that repeat themselves in higher tone or in lower tone. The other thing you do need to know is fingers have numbers in piano. Thumb is number 1, and it goes 2, 3, 4, 5. And same with the left hand. Thumb is number 1, and it goes 2, 3, 4, 5. So as far as that goes, that's as much as you need to know. Now, when we talk about chords, right, what is a chord? A chord is usually a group of 3 or more notes that are played to come up with like a filler for background music. So let's say if I was to play Mary Had a Little Lamb without chords, it would sound like this. I'm just adjusting the camera. If I was to play it with chords, it would sound like this. So chords are one of the key elements to separate one genre from another. So before I get into how those chords are used, there are some things you need to know about 3-note chords and 4-note chords. So what is the difference? We have a 3-note chord. The one that I have just played for you is a C chord, where C is the root of the chord, right? So a C major triad, that's the full name of it. Major and minor, we'll go over that in a different video. But for all you need to know for now is a C major triad has C, E, and G in it, right? And there are different types of 3-note chords. A triad is a 3-note chord, thus the name tri. So another example of a 3-note chord would be D, F, and A, and that would be a D chord, right? This is a D minor triad. So if you notice, the way I'm playing these chords is basically I'll have, let's say in a very basic manner, I have, let's say C, I'll skip a key, and then I will skip another key, and then I have a chord. So if I were to play D, right, I could skip a key, and I could skip a key, and then I have a D chord, right? And then let's say if I wanted to start with E and build an E chord, I could start with E, I could skip a key, and I could skip a key, and then I could have an E chord. And I could just keep going with the same pattern. I can just build a bunch of chords that are 3-note chords. So F, A, C is an F chord. And then G is a G chord, or G, B, and D could be a G chord. A, C, and E is an A chord. And then B, D, and F is a B chord. Obviously, these are just 7 of the many, many, many types of triads that exist. You have major triads, you have minor triads, you have augmented triads, diminished triads. They each have a distinct sound, which again, I'll get into in a different video, but you just kind of need to know what a basic 3-note chord is. A 3-note chord is called a triad, whether it's, again, major triad, minor triad, augmented, diminished. At the end of the day, all those different types of chords have 3 notes to them. That's what makes them a triad, right? And so triads are used in pretty much every genre of music, but again, they are approached differently. Another type of chord that you need to know, especially if you are getting into R&B, is a 4-note chord. So let's go back to our C major triad, C, E, and G. The only thing I really have to do to make this a 4-note chord is the top note that I've stopped at, I just skip another key and add another note. And you may hear right away it has a slightly richer sound than the 3-note chord. This is where we start to get into R&B land, because R&B genres tend to use 4-note chords very often, right? And I could do the same thing with, let's say, a D chord. If I wanted to build a 4-note chord from D, all I have to do is start with D and then skip and then skip and then skip again, and I have another 4-note chord, right? And I can do the same exact thing with these other notes. I can just go E, skip a key, skip a key, skip a key, and I have another 4-note chord. So again, you can hear how adding that extra note in there makes the chord sound different than just a 3-note chord. So here's a 3-note chord. If I were to add that top note in there, again, it gives it a, as my students like to say, a richer or more colorful sound. Now, what are these 4-note chords called? They are called 7th chords. The reason why they're called 7th chords is because the distance between the root note and the 4th note is an interval of a 7. So what does that mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the distance scale-wise, C, D, E, F, G, A, B is 7 keys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7th chord. Same thing with this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each note or each 7th chord has what's called a root. So let's say if we have C, E, G, and B, right? Each 7th chord has a root, a third because 1, 2, 3, a fifth because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whereas a triad has only a root, a third, and a fifth, right? So that's the most basic way to know the difference between a 3-note chord and a 4-note chord. Before I get into how 3-note chords are used in other genres versus 4-note chords used in R&B, I do want to let you guys know that I do have a free piano in 3 steps video where it starts you from the very beginning. If you're a complete beginner and want to get into learning piano, that video will start you from the very start, and then it goes over how to name the keys, and it also shows you how to play basic chords, both hands together. If you want to access that video, it's free to sign up. The link for that is in the description box. Make sure you sign up before you leave this video. Now, let's talk about 3-note chords used in other genres versus 4-note chords used in R&B. If I were to do a pop song, so one of the differences between pop and R&B is that pop music usually stops at using 3-note chords. It's not very often that you will hear a pop song use 4-note chords like R&B does. So let's take a pop song like Girls Like You, right? And you'll notice that for the most part, I'm going to be using triads or 3-note chords to build the pop song Girls Like You. If you haven't heard Girls Like You, you should listen to it to be able to hear the difference. So let's say I start with a C chord, C, E, G. 'Cause girls like you run round with, and then I may go to a G chord, which is G, B, and D. Guys like me to sundown when, and then I come through is just A, C, and E, another 3-note chord. I come through, I need a, and then for Girl Like You, yeah, yeah, I just may do an F, A, and C. Right? So 3-note chord, girls like you run round with, 3-note chord, guys like me to sundown with, 3-note chord, I come through, I need a 3-note chord. girl like you, yeah, yeah. So again, most pop songs just use 3-note chords. Now, when it comes to, as a matter of fact, I might even give you guys another example, right? I will be using black keys for this, so I don't want you to get kind of confused and go, wait a minute, I thought it was just white keys. You can use 3-note chords using black keys. But again, don't focus on the notes themselves, just focus on how many notes I'm using to build the chord. That is the difference. So let's take John Legend's All of Me, right, which I have a tutorial series on that. That would be considered a pop song, even though John Legend himself does do R&B songs, but this particular song is considered pop because it just does 3-note chords. So let's take that song, right? So 3-note chord. What would I, 3-note chord, do without your smart 3-note chord? Now drawing me, 3-note chord, and then you kicking me out, 3-note chord. So it's considered pop because it just has very basic 3-note chords. Head spinning, no kidding, I can't pin you down. So again, I'm not expecting you to know these notes or practice these notes. I'm just showing you, again, how pop music is different than R&B. Now, let's take the same exact artist, right? And let's go with one of his classics. Let's go all the way back to the 2000s, where he did do an R&B song as one of his breakout songs. You probably already know the song I'm going to talk about. Ordinary People is considered R&B, right? And even if you hear the song, you can hear that the chords are going to be a little bit richer than just basic 3-note chords. This is a perfect example of how R&B separates from pop music. So let's take our John Legend song, Bubba. And then, oops, let me see if I know how to play it. And you're like, Ayana, those are such rich chords, right? How did you do that? Check this out. Now, I want to break this down into basic 4-note chords. So again, the 4 notes that he's using is for each of the chords that actually occur in the song. So you'll notice that I'm actually adding an extra note in there. So let's say in this case I'm playing B flat. And B flat is the black key that is at the right of the 3 black keys. And then the other notes are just D, F, and A, right? So just by adding that 4th note in there, making it a 7th chord, I'm already getting a richer sound. So B flat, D, F, A. Ba, 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 right? So again, this is just you seeing the difference between how 3-note chords are used in pop music and how 4-note chords are used and how they create a different sound in R&B, right? Again, don't worry about the calculations. You're probably like, I thought it was all white keys. Again, this is just about how many notes I'm using and how adding a note can make all the difference in the world. So B flat, D, F, A, ba, 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 ba. And then the next chord, again, I'm going to add 4 notes. Now, here, I'm just going to play E flat, which is the black key to the right of the 2 black keys. I'm going to have G, and I'm going to play B flat again here, and I'm going to play D at the top. So again, this is a 4-note chord. It is a 7th chord. Again, a richer sound versus playing just 3-note chords, right? Ba, ba, ba. And then that last chord is going to be a simple F, A, C, E chord. So if I were to take away that 4th note, right, if I were to just make 3-note chords, you can hear how it doesn't sound exactly the same as adding that 4th note in there. Ba, 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 ba. So it almost sounds like a more straightforward type of pop song, but if I add that 4th note in there, richer sound, richer sound, richer sound, right? So that is one of the things that makes R&B different than, let's say, pop music, because R&B uses 4-note chords very or more often than pop music uses, where it just kind of stops at 3-note chords. So if you made it to the end, I did say I was going to give you a surprise video. If you want to get into R&B, I have a tutorial on how to actually play 4 of the easiest piano chords for R&B. I'm going to provide a video for that in the top right corner of this video. If you like this tutorial, please make sure that you subscribe, turn on the notification bell. I will be releasing a video every week, so when I do that, you will get notified for that. And if you have any questions, make sure that you put them in the comment section, and please like this video because it does help me get more views and more subscribers. So thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.